first one. If a is not 1, you have to divide the entire equation by whatever that number is for a. What is a? A is the number what? In front of x squared. Good. So for this one, a is what? This one? This one? This one? Good. So this one we would have to start by dividing the whole thing by 2. And we'll get to that. But this first one, a is already 1, so step 1's already done. And I'm going to put 1 right here and put a check mark. Step 1's already done. Alright, so when we factor it, we have to have it in standard form, like set equal to 0. But when you're doing completing the square, you want to have your ax squared plus bx and your constant, which is just the number, on the other side. Okay? So on this one, is this in this form? Ax squared plus bxc is on this side. So step 2 is already done. Alright, step 3, we have to find b over 2 squared. What is our b in this problem?
6.
Good. So 6 over 2 squared would be the same thing as what? 9, because it's 3 squared. Very good. So we found b over 2 squared. Now we're going to add it to both sides of this equation. So on the left side, I'll have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 7 plus 9. So I rewrote this equation and just added 9 to both sides. Step 3's done. Alright, step 4, I'm going to factor this side. And all of these are going to be a perfect square trinomial. That's what it's called. That's what we got, b over 2 squared. We got 9. Alright, so the left side we're going to factor it, and it's always going to be x plus b over 2 with the squared on the outside. So what is our b divided by 2? 3. Good. So that's what's going to go on the inside, squared on the outside. And that one's this one factored. If you were to fold this out, you would get this. And then on this side we just add. That's going to be what? Good. 16. That's step 4. Again, this just came from dividing our b by 2. The 3 did. And now we just solve using square root property. This is why I wanted to skip it, because we're going to do 2 in 1. We're going to do square root property and completing the square. So if you were trying to solve for x right here, what would you do just in algebra? Square root of what? Both sides. Thank you. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. Now, on this side, anything squared underneath a radical, what's that going to do? Just be itself. Good. And it's going to be what? Good. Equals or. Good. Can't you square a negative 4 and get a positive 16? Yes. So we're going to put plus or minus 4.
What if it's not a perfect square?
We'll get to that. Good question. Then you would just simplify the radical and just as much as you can. And we'll have one like that in a second. And now all you have to do is solve for x. But this is going to be 2 different answers, right? So the first one will be x plus 3 equals a positive 4. The second one will be x plus 3 equals what? Negative 4. Now just solve for each one. So for this one I would have to do what? Subtract 3, not add 3, right? It's already being added on this side. And x would equal what? 1. This one, x would equal negative 7. There. Because you subtract 3 from negative 4. And that's it. So I know that factoring might be easier sometimes, and there might be some other easier ways of solving quadratics, but this one you'll have to learn when we do transformations. So that's why we have to go over it. And I think y'all use this method a lot in pre-cal, right? No?
If we did, I don't remember.
You haven't taken pre-cal. Alright. Next one. Let's work C together. Alright, so Kayla, tell me the first step for part C.
Oh, yeah, the one over.
Good. I need to move the 1 on this side, so that'll give me x squared plus 3x equals a positive 1. Very good. All right, Corbin, tell me what to do next.
3 over 2 squared.
Good. 3 over 2 squared. Now this is ugly, right? I want you to leave this as a fraction. You'll see. Alright, so when you square a fraction, you just square the top and bottom separately. So 3 squared is what?
4.
Good. And 2 squared is 4. So that's our b over 2 squared. And what do we do with this, Ransom? Somebody said it. Say it louder. Good. Add it to both sides of the equation. So we'll have x squared plus 3x plus 9 over 4 equals, and let's write this 1 as a fraction. Why would I want to do that? Good, so I could add them, right? How would I write, good, 4 over 4. Does everybody understand why I did that?
No.
I did this so I could add these, because to add fractions you have to have a common denominator, right? So the 9 over 4 came from here. The 4 over 4 came from this. 1 is the same thing as 4 divided by 4. Oh. Yes, very good. Alright, so Solomon, help me out. How would I factor this? It'd be x what?
That would be x plus 3.
3.
3 over 4.
This is what always goes right here.
Okay, 2.
It's okay. 3 over 2 squared. On this side, anybody tell me what this is going to be when I add them? Sweet. Alright. We are not done. You know better. Katie, what do we do from here? Square root them. Good, because you're trying to solve for x, so think like algebra. Alright, Brandon, on the left side I would have what?
X plus 3 over 2.
Sweet. Alright, like Abigail said, this one's not a perfect square. 13's not, but what is? 4. So we could write this as square root, or excuse me, plus or minus square root of 13 over what? 2. And how did I get that? Square root of 4 is 2. But we couldn't take the square root of 13, right? Now, are there any perfect squares that can go into 13?
No.
Nope. Perfect squares are what? Name some. 4,
2,
9. 2's not, but 2 squared is.
15.
15, yeah. Okay. Alright.
45.
Yes, good job. So now, all we have to do is get x by itself, so we just need to move what?
3 over 2.
Yep, by doing what?
Subtracting.
Good. So your answer, I don't want you to plug this in your calculator and give me a decimal. This is how I want you to write it. X equals, start with this, plus or minus square root of 13 minus 3, right? And we can put this all over what? 2. It is ugly. And you can leave it like that.
So if it has a common denominator, you just put it all under.
Correct.
Wait, can't you just use the quadratic formula?
Yes. But we're learning this because we'll need it for transformations. We learn quadratic formula tomorrow. Alright, try B on your own. Actually, B and F. B and F. Don't do D and E yet. B and F. And please, if you need help, ask the people around you. Ask me. Here's some help. Good. Let's get the one from. Were you following the one you just did?
Yeah.
Okay. You added 1 because we need the constant over here. Erase that. This one, the constant, which is negative 8, is already over there, right? So you can start with step 3. Go ahead and find b over 2 squared. Which one's b? Good. Go ahead. That's going to be this one. You're thinking of 6 times 2. Do what's inside parentheses first. So 6 divided by 2. Square. Good. Alright, so now that's your b over 2 squared. Now you add it to both sides. So add it to this side. Go and rewrite this. The original. X squared plus 6x. Now add a plus 9 equals negative 8 plus 9. Sweet. Alright, now this one needs to be x plus b over 2 squared. And you said 6 divided by 2 is what?
3.
So you would write x plus 3 squared on this side. Under this, because that's what that is, factor. Good. Make sure that's in parentheses, everything. Around 3. Equals. Then add those two together. What's 9 minus 8? Sweet. Now, from here, you take the square root of both sides. So take the square root of everything right there. Just write it under a radical, like this. Now this, if it has it squared, it'll just be itself. So write x plus 3, just takes it out of the radical. Equals. And what's the square root of 1? 4. Minus 1. So plus or minus 1. Plus or minus. Plus, minus. Good. Now set up your two cases. So write x plus 3 equals positive 1, x plus 3 equals negative 1, then solve for x. This one's good. You just
function back to 3 more minus 3, which is negative 2. And subtract 3 from the same thing. Supplementary equation.
Like that?
Yeah. And then it'll be 4 minus 3 is negative 2, so x equals negative 2. And then negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4, so x equals negative 4.
So rewrite this equation, doesn't have that on the side, but on each side it's plus 9.
If it is
And then on this part over here, factors, all you do is use this. So what is this without square?
I gave it all over this year.
What if you raise it to x plus 3 squared? And you add in the adding the zero.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. He's such I told him to do No, I didn't. Of course you wouldn't. Do you want half an hour system?
No, you could say,
Do you want half an hour?
you said,
You better
you said, I would
because I thought about it because I wouldn't really out of the question.
take me money.
Oh, I'm making a mess.
Alright, who's still working?
The show, like muscle shows.
Has everybody done at least part B? Alright, tell me the two answers you got. Sweet. Do I need to go over this one? Alright, for the second one, F, what did y'all get?
X equals root 3 minus 2.
Close.
Plus or minus
Plus or minus what?
root 3
Square root of 3.
minus 2.
Good, I thought you said 3, not square root of 3. Good, I need to go over this one, right? Okay. And by me, I mean y'all. So, starting with Amber. Tell me the first step to do here.
Negative, subtract -1.
Good. So I'll get x squared plus 4x equals -1. Y'all stop me if y'all have a question about a step, okay? Alright, Darian, what do I do next? Good. 4 over 2 squared. So this is 2, right? 2 squared is what? Sweet. What do I do with the 4, Justin? You better be on it. No, we're working on F. What do we do with this? We found b over 2 squared. We're on step 3. What do we do after we find b over 2 squared?
You add.
To where? Look, step 3. Add it to both sides of the equation. Stay with me, Justin. Alright, so it would look like this. X squared plus 4x plus 4 equals -1 plus 4. Alright, on the left side, Cade, tell me what this would be factored. Good. And a lot of y'all had 4 right here because you took it from here. So in this spot, this is not b over 2 squared. This spot is just b over 2. And if you want to check yourself, look at this. 2 squared is going to be what? 4. 4 squared would be 16, so you knew that couldn't work, right? Alright, Abigail, on this side I'd have what?
You have square root of 3.
Just 3 for right now. We haven't taken the square root. But after this, you take the square root of both sides. Alright, Logan, on this side I'll have what if I take the square root here? Good? Alright, can we take the square root of 3?
No.
No, it's not a perfect square. So we would just leave it as plus or minus square root of 3. We can't take anything out. So from here, Miles, the only thing I need to do to get x by itself is do what? Subtract what? Good. So that's how we got our answer of plus or minus 3 minus 2. Plus or minus square root of 3, excuse me. Is everybody okay with these? Alright, let's practice some more then. The only difference between D and E, between all the rest of them we worked, is what? Good. A is not 1. A in this one is what? 2. So step 1, it says if A is not 1, divide the entire equation by A. And A is what? 2. So let's go and do that. And let's leave them as fractions. So the first one, I'll just get what? X squared. This will be minus 7 over 2x plus 3 over 2x. Or just 3 over 2, excuse me. It looks scary, but I promise it's not going to be scary. Alright, from here, now we just work it like the rest of them. We'll need to do what first?
B over 2 squared.
Good. Move the 3 over 2 to the other side. And that's going to give us what over here? Sweet. Now we can do b over 2 squared. Alright. Negative 7 over 2 divided by 2 squared. Because that's our b, correct? Now let me come over here for a second. Negative 7 over 2 divided by 2 would look like this, right, if I wrote it out? When you divide fractions, you have to do what? Keep, flip, change. That's how I call it, KFC. I like chicken, so I can remember better that way. Alright, so you keep this one. Which one do we flip?
The sign is
We change this
yeah.
and flip this one, right? So negative 7 over 2 divided by 2 is going to be negative 7 over 4. Sweet. So this is our b over 2. Now, b over 2 squared, we just square each term, right? So what's negative 7 squared? 49, and the bottom would be 16. Sweet. So this is b over 2 squared. Okay, now I'm going to come back over here. Alright. So what do I need to do from here? Correct. Add b over 2 squared to each side. So I'm going to write it over here. X squared minus 7 over 2x plus 49 over 16 equals, I'm going to go ahead and write 49 over 16. I need to change this, right? Where it has a bottom of what? 16. Okay? Stay with me. So right now the bottom is 2. In order for me to change it from 2 to 16, I had to multiply this by what? 8. So I need to multiply the top by 8 and get what? Sweet. Alrighty. In my blank of x plus something squared, this is where you put b over 2, not b over 2 squared. So what was b over 2?
7 over 4.
Not just 7 over 4.
Negative.
Negative 7 over 4 squared. Equals, and over here I just leave the bottom the same, right? And what's 49 minus 24? 25. And you can see this one's going to get a lot easier, because what do you notice about this side? They're both perfect squares. Alright, so now I just do my algebra part. I do what to each side? Square root both sides. So Kelsey, on this side I'll have what?
X minus 7 over 2. I mean 7 over 4.
Good. On the other side, Kaya, right?
You'll have 5 over 4.
Not just 5 over 4.
Plus or minus.
Sweet. And how did I get that? Because the square root of 25 is 5, square root of 16 is 4. And these have the same denominator, so it's really easy now. So I set up my two cases because I'll have two answers. I have x minus 7 over 4 equals positive 5 over 4. X minus 7 over 4 equals negative 5 over 4. Let me zoom in some. Alright, on this one I add 7 to both sides, correct? So what's 7 plus 5? 12 over 4 is what? 3. Alright, on this one, this is a negative 5, so what is negative 5 plus 7? 2. So 2 over 4 simplifies 2. Sweet. So it's a really ugly problem, but it has pretty nice answers. And I understand, guys, I understand that this problem was a lot of work, a lot of steps. But the more you do them and the more you get used to them, the quicker you'll go. And you can skip steps like even writing this down. And I promise you'll need this for next chapter. So let's try one more together, and I'm going to write it on this board so I have more room. And then I want you to try something in your groups. Alright, so this one I'm going to write up here. Can I borrow this? And y'all are going to help me out with this one. Okay. Okay, Mackenzie, start me off with this one. What should I do?
You should write right here first.
Very good. So I'll get x squared plus 5 over 2x equals 3 over 2. This one's already moved on the other side, so I don't have to move it, right? Alright, Colby, what do I do from here?
You gotta take 5x over 2 and put over another 2.
Good. Squared, right? Okay, so here's my fraction. I can do what with this? We're dividing fractions, so I do what here? Flip it to 1/2 and multiply, right? Tell me what that's going to give me. Anybody? 5/4. Got to multiply the 2's, right? Alright, and now Corbin, what is 5/4 squared? You don't have to look at your paper. What's 5 squared?
25.
4 squared?
16.
Yeah. Okay, so again, this is our b/2 before we square it, right? I'm going to write that underneath. You don't have to write it. This is our b/2 squared. Antonio, what should I do from here? Hmm? You added to both sides? Which one? Yeah, you add this one to both sides, right? Okay, so we got x squared plus 5/2x plus 25/16 equals, I'm going to go ahead and put my 25/16, and I need to change this one. Okay, this needs to have a denominator of what?
16.
So I would have to multiply this 2 by what to get to 16? So this? Sweet. Alright. What do I do from here? Ransom. What do I need to do to this side?
Square root.
Not yet.
I'm not sure.
Somebody help them.
When you add down the other side,
Let's do this first. What do we do with this side?
Let's just square root 2
Plus 5/4.
X plus what now?
5/4.
Good. Our b squared. So we're factoring this. We're putting it in a binomial. And this came from here. Now we can add this side. What's 25 plus 24?
49.
You can see this one's going to be pretty easy too, because this one has 49 and 16, and they're both perfect squares. All right.
Are you still recording right now?
It's okay. Remind me the first letter of your name. Camden. Okay. What do I do from here? Sweet. So what's the square root of this side going to be? Good. On this side? One thing missing. Good. Plus or minus. Square root of 49 is 7. Square root of 16 is 4. I'll come back over here now and write on the whiteboard. Alright. So I'll have two different problems right here. Abigail, tell me my first one. Oops.
You'll have x plus 5/4 equals negative 7/4.
And
X plus 5/4 equals positive 7/4.
sweet. Alright, Kayla, from this one I need to do what to get x by itself?
You need to subtract 5/4.
Good. So I get x equals negative 12/4, which is what? Sweet. Alright, Justin, on this one I need to do what to get x by itself?
Minus 5. 4.
Very good. So that would give me what, Justin? No, don't you dare. What's 7 minus 5?
Oh.
And now that would give us, simplifies to what?
Wait.
Anybody? 1/2. Alright. So the square root property that we were going to go over is the same thing we do when we take the square root of both sides, like this. This is called the square root property, so we don't have to go over it because we practiced it when we were doing complete the square, right? Okay, your homework, the 1.5 homework that you turned in yesterday, the 3 problems, I'm going to give that back. And there's 2 problems, and it's numbers like 4 and 5 that are completing the square. I want you to try those, and when you get them correct, you can pack up and call it a day, okay? Home night homework. So let me pass it back out.
You didn't even do your homework.
Also, if you are getting your checkpoint back, you need to work on that first before your
Take
homework.
it to the shells. Yeah, whatever that is. What is that? That mall dollar going get?
Fix
Where's
that.
the?
Listen, right? So on your homework, you're doing 4 and 5. Once you get them, I can check it and pack them.
Where's the? Jameson.
About half of them.
Where's Fleming?
No, I told you someone
I
about
figured
it.
it was because of the small.
Negative.
The favorite mud spot.
It's not a mud spot.
What is it?
I usually go by
It's like
time
a
zone.
swimming hole.
Well, a swimming hole.
It's like a bunch
Go to swimming. You be swimming in there?
No. It's negative.
What's wrong with a swimming hole?
Because that's where a bunch of people go swimming.
What's that?
But I don't swim there.
Kelsey, there's 32. It's important, but Brandon is right here. She's my friend.
You don't know that.
I know you would.
How?
Because when I go to Boston and like the whole floor
Thank you.
will be underwater.
No, I don't like it outside anyway.
Yeah.
I don't have to go back to you.
It's different. It's different. You don't think about it.
We didn't have to do this.
There's too much stuff going on to think about.
Alright, if you did not get your homework sheet back, it's because you didn't put your name on it and it's up there if anybody wants to claim it.
But what? Look at the number.
If you didn't get your 1.5 homework back, it's your homework.
We already did 3.
I mean 4 and 5.
If I see you're not working on your homework, that's fine, you'll just get a 0 when I come by.
Take it to the channel shows.
4 and 5, just 4 and 5.
There's not. I literally put that in my calculator. And that's what I got. Okay, well, tell me if I'm doing it wrong or something. So parentheses 1 minus second close parentheses.
Minus.
No, oh, that's what I did.
And that's the negative sign.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's how I did it. Negative 5 plus
Branson, you're good? No, you're good. Check one's correct. Oh, you just added to the here before you even start. Does that make sense? Let me know when you're done so I can come check it. And then you can pack up when you're done. Did you finish it?
Yes.